Hi everyone, it's Donna here from Blind and Knitting, episode 15. Wow, I keep listening to other episodes and hearing people say, wow, episode 15, wow, and I keep thinking, but it does, just they seem to build up and build up. Anyway, welcome, it's Donna. So Blind and Knitting, this is my little part of the world where I like to talk about my projects, my knitting projects mostly, a little bit of craft and sewing and some gardening, and I'm a strong advocate of mental health and taking care of your mental health, so I'm going to throw some of that in there as well because I just can't help myself. So I'll throw some tips around that as well. And also because the title is Blind and Knitting, I am legally blind. I have very little sight. I have just a little wee circle of sight. Thankfully, I can still see my needles just to knit in good lighting, etc. So there's some challenges around that I give little tips on how to do that as well. So hopefully that'll help with some people that are dealing with challenges, whether they be sight or physical, etc. as well. So it's a full little session that I give you, and I'm looking forward to giving it to you today. So welcome if you are I was going to say reused. I've got reused, recycled in my head. So if you come back to watch, welcome again. Hello if you're a new watcher, and if you do enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button down below, and that will just give you a little bell. I did intend on doing these sort of every 2 weeks, but to be honest, life happens, and I'm not going to put pressure on myself and say I'm going to do it every 2 weeks. So I think this is 3 weeks. This one may even be a month. Yeah, so anywhere within the month, I guess is it'll be. So what's been happening? Well, for a start, I have got really bad asthma, and I've been talking to a lot of people, and everybody's been saying, oh my gosh, I've got this, I've got that, and there's some sick people out there. It's really a shame. But so please forgive me if I do this little silly cough, all the way through. I do have my, where is it? Oh gosh, that's my sight. I have got a glass of water to keep my throat moist so that I don't cough, but I may well cough. What else has been happening? So last time I spoke, I was going to be looking after my grandchildren. I'm so blessed to have lots of wonderful grandchildren, but my daughter and her husband were going away to Wellington for the weekend. They said, Mum, can you come and stay at our house and look after the kids? And I thought, oh, that'll be great. I'll be able to spend the whole weekend with them, Friday to Sunday. So I was really looking forward to it. And they're neat kids. They are 8, 11 and 12. I'm going to get that wrong. They're going to tell me off, but close enough. So they had soccer on the Saturday, which was really cool. It was so nice to be able to, we walked to the soccer ground, so it wasn't that far away from where they live, and I watched the kids play soccer. Because I live rurally and don't drive, I often miss out on doing anything like that unless I actually really plan it and organise it, which is often a challenge because I'd planned and organised the whole week, and for the weekend I do get tired of planning and organising. So I do often miss out on the kids' sport. So I went and watched the sport. It was a beautiful day, which was great. I took my woolly hat and my gloves and my scarf, my coat, all ready to stand in the freezing cold, and I got halfway around there. I was stripping everything off, putting my pockets and filling my pockets with my hat and my gloves, and I didn't need any of that. It was just such a gorgeous day. And I really enjoyed that. And Harley, one of the grandchildren, got Player of the Day, which was even better. So that was the Saturday. And then we got home and had, because I don't have takeaways, and I know that Kushla's not one for buying takeaways much for the family either. They, young family never have a lot of money, but so I thought I'd shout pizza, which we did because I don't have it very often, and that was a real treat. So we had pizza, and then, oh no, the 8-year-old was sitting in the lounge quietly watching a movie. We were watching a family movie I'll tell you about that movie later. It was a great movie. And he walked out into the kitchen and just vommed everywhere. Vomit all over the kitchen floor, just everywhere. And they've got 2 big dogs, and I've got a big dog. I had 3 big dogs and 3 teenagers, and vomit everywhere. And I'm blind, so yeah, there was a few cross words, bit of swearing. I had to go and apologise to the kids later because I got a bit frustrated trying to get the dogs outside and the kids out of the way and clean it up, but also deal with the 8-year-old who was still vomiting. So basically the rest of the weekend was full of a very sick child that ended up sleeping with me and couldn't stop vomiting, and but it allowed us all to sit with curtains shut watching movies and having a quiet weekend. So it was back to reality instead of being a mother. and I've forgotten what it was like with dealing with all of those things. Excuse me. Having said that, I came home exhausted, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. One of the things, thinking about being blind, my daughter and her family live in the house that my children grew up in. So I know the house really well, which was great for my eyesight because I kind of knew where light switches and things were, but obviously different furniture. So, in the midst of all this, I'm trying to deal with all this, and I'm falling over coffee tables and banging into shelves, and so when you're blind and those things happen, it is a real challenge to sort of take a deep breath and go, oh, hang on a minute, let me get myself together and manage this. And I must confess, for a while there I didn't. I kind of, but then I drew it all back and sort of took a deep breath and sort of said, right, let's get through this. And challenging weekend. So that was last weekend. So I was going to do a podcast when I got home, but it just wasn't happening after that, I can tell you. And then, of course, the week, sadly I lost my brother, a half-brother, to COVID, and had the funeral last week. So that was, he was quite elderly. He was 87. There's quite an age difference between, my dad had 2 families, but he was my half-brother. And so elderly, but still no one wants to think of people dying of COVID. So I had the funeral last week. So what was voms and sick, and then passing away of my brother. It's been an interesting week. So this weekend I thought, right, I'm going to have a lovely quiet weekend. I'm just going to, do my chores. So I got up, it was a long weekend, and I had Friday off. So I was just going to do all my chores Friday, which I did, and then I was able to do all my lovely stuff and relax and have a lovely weekend this weekend. So that has been so good for my mental health. I've really needed to just sit and take a breath. I've done lots of knitting. Got organised for this podcast. I am just everywhere. So so should we talk about some knitting? Supposedly this is a podcast about knitting, not about voms and COVID and funerals. So we'll talk about some knitting. I'll put my notes down and just see how it goes. So what am I wearing? I am wearing my Paris Toujours, which is in is it Isabel Kramer pattern, and I made this and I absolutely loved it, and then I blocked it and it grew really big, and I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to wear this? But I've been playing with it and I've kind of got used to it now, and so it's really gorgeous. It's got a lovely lace pattern on it. It's kind of one of those ones that you can breathe but still and wrap it round and just wear it any way you like, really. And I'm going to get very, very hot, so what I might do is use it more like a shawl now instead of a scarf, so that I don't swelter away. So and I love the colour. It's kind of, well, it's purple really. It's kind of a purple blue. So I have worn it quite a bit in lots of different ways. I have found it really handy. I wear scarves a lot. I've got a wardrobe full of scarves. I've always been a scarf person, but not big knitted ones like this. And I've just found it really handy on night if you go out for dinner, and you can just grab it and just throw it around your neck, nice and snug and warm. And then if you get a bit hot, you can put it around your shoulders, and then you can just sleeve it on the side. And it's really, usable. for time. So I've really enjoyed it, and what it's done is made me realise how much I like knitted scarves. So I'm going to knit some more, and one of my whips will come up is that. So that's what I'm wearing, Paris de Jour, Isabel Kramer. Finished objects. Well, I actually have no finished objects, but I have one that is super close, and I'll explain why it's not finished. So it is my Ember, which is a Libby Johnson pattern, and it's the one that's got steeking, so you steek the front, knit it in the round. So I've loved knitting this, and I looked at the date that I started it, and it's 11 weeks ago, and I thought, why have I not finished this? Because this is, you know, that's a bit longer than I would normally take knitting a jersey, although it's a big jersey. It's you know, Fero, which I've never done before. It was and I'm 6 foot, so it's a big lots and lots a lot of knitting, as you can see. So it's completely finished, bar the steeking, and that's what's been putting me off. Is I've been really nervous about steeking, and I just, oh, procrastination city, really. I've just been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So last week I thought, no, this is it. This weekend I'm going to focus on it. I want to get it done. I even put on Facebook, should I wear it like this? And lots of people said, just wear it as a jersey. But I don't think I'd get the use out of it. I get really hot, so I don't like too much jersey on me. And I like to be able to take things off and on and wear them in layers. So to be honest, if I had left it as a jersey, as nice as it is, and I did wear it for a few hours as a jersey just to see what it was like to wear. It's lovely, and it looked fabulous as a jersey. I mean, it's really nice. But I know that I just wouldn't get the wear out of it. If it's a cardigan, I can wear it with a t-shirt underneath and take it off, put it on, take it. And women of my age will understand that. And so I thought, I've just got to do it. Now, it is a Libby Johnson pattern, and I'm in Wardrobe Toolbox, as I've said in the past, which is a paid education platform that she runs, and this is part of the pattern for that. And so she runs you through videos on how to do it. Now, what Libby has done is she has crocheted down the edges. And I thought, right, so I started the crocheting, and with my sight, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. They're just too small. I mean, and this is DK. It's just too small. I was just getting really annoyed with trying to pick up and chain every stitch. So it was every stitch that I was having to pick up. I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't do this. I'm just putting more pressure on myself. So Auntie Google got a hit. And so I Googled all sorts of things and watched all sorts of things. And then they started using terms that I knew, like it's a facing, to reinforce the edges, and all sewing terms. I'm a sewer. I've been a sewer all my life. I've been a knitter all my life too, but this is all new terminology for me, steeking, etc. So I thought, right, look at it like a sewing project on it, Donna. And the light just came on. It was like, why am I stressing? So got the sewing machine out, put it all together, and zigzagged down the edges, both edges, boop, boop, twice, and cut it afterwards. So it's all cut, it's all zigzagged, it's all cut. It's ready for me to pick up the band stitches for the band and knit the 2 bands, and they won't take long. That can be my mission next week. So the part that I was procrastinating over is done. And all I had to do really was look at it like a sewing project instead of a knitting project. Instead of looking at it as something new and something quite scary, look at it as something that I've done many times before with fabric. Basically, knitting is a fabric. And yeah, so I will have this finished before the next podcast. As I say, I've only got the beans to go, and really looking forward to. It's starting to get a little bit cold now. This is in Skeins wool called Vintage. I don't remember the colour, my humble apologies, but I have put it in past podcasts, and I will link it down below. But Skeins wool is lovely. It's 100% wool, 100% merino, and it's a nice wool, but it's not really scratchy. I can't do hot and scratchy. And it's done a beautiful colour work, which I've never done before. I made a huge mistake, and the pattern doesn't look much like the pattern that the original pattern was, but it doesn't matter because I made the mistake around the whole thing. So it's a symmetrical mistake. So I'm really looking forward to wearing that actually now that I've passed that procrastination thing. I was watching, if any of you do watch it, it's a fantastic podcast to follow, one called Fruity Knitting. And I've talked about this before. And Andrea is the mum, and the daughter's Andrea. Their daughter's been joining her because her husband passed away, who used to run it with her. And the daughter has been doing studying psychology, and I've got a degree in psychology. That's kind of where I get a little geeked out. I love psychology. She was talking about the Zeigarnik effect. So Zeigarnik, N-I-K. And the Zeigarnik effect is where our brain remembers, our subconscious remembers tasks, unfinished tasks, and keeps bringing them to the forefront. And our consciousness doesn't want that. And that's the tiring part. If we've got so many unfinished tasks that our subconscious keeps bringing back and bringing back and bringing back, we can become quite fatigued by it. So, I used this to my advantage because I'm a great procrastinator. One of the best things I've ever done really well is procrastinate. So I used the Zeigarnik effect to my advantage to manage my procrastination. So if you have a task that keeps coming up as unfinished, then if you just pick it up and think, right, I'm just going to do this little bit, then what happens is your brain doesn't like unfinished tasks. So you'll end up doing, just do a little bit more. I'll just do a little bit more. I'll just do a little bit more. And so the job gets done because your brain doesn't like unfinished tasks. So I used the Zeigarnik effect to advantage with my procrastination, and I'd forgotten about it until I watched Fruity Knitting and they were talking about it on there, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. I can use that when it comes to my embers and my procrastination around steeking, which I did. So you can Google it a little bit more. It's Zeigarnik. It's a Zeiganik effect. It's just really interesting. And I can fill you in a little bit more as time goes on as well about it. But basically it's around our brain doesn't like unfinished tasks and keeps bringing them forward. And so if we know that, we can manage those tasks. Embers, done. So the next one is, my next whip is my Ranunculus. So I decided, because when I was doing my embers, that I would have something nice and simple to do, because I knew that steeking was new to me and colour work was new. So I've never made a Ranunculus before, but everybody on podcasts say, everybody's made 2-3 of them. They are very, very popular, and most people know a Ranunculus. So there it is. It's not finished. I've still got the sleeves to do. I finished the bottom. It's a little bit short, but I'm pretty sure it's not actually a little bit short. It's a little bit shorter than I like, but it's not too short. But I think it'll block out quite well, so I'm not too worried about that. Just up to the sleeves, so I have that one on one of those lovely, cables, and I've just put this one onto my needles. Here's a little tip for you. I don't know if this is useful or not, but I use those little loom bands, those little rubber band loom bands that the grandkids have, and I wrap it around my needles to keep my needles together in my knitting so that they don't slide off the knitting. I use that all the time and find that really quite a helpful little tip. So the only decision I have to make is what length sleeve to do. So I've loved it, and this is the sight thing, of course, and you kind of just have to learn to go with the flow when you've got sight challenges. I made that huge mistake on the embers, and my colour work doesn't look like the pattern, but it's beautiful. I've made a mistake on the lace work on my Ranunculus. Again, it's a sight thing. You just got to go with the flow. It's a symmetrical mistake. Nobody's going to see it. The only person that knows it's there is me and you now. So you can't say anything to anybody, okay? Because I don't want them to know. Anyway, I've really enjoyed knitting it. I agree, it's totally fast, super fast to knit, super easy to knit. I can see I'll make more. I really do. The yoke fits beautifully. The pattern's nice and simple. It's nice and quick, and it's you know, you can make it with all sorts of different things. I have used 100%. Whereas I didn't bring my wool. Dumb. I have used it's Mofo, it's called, which is a acrylic mohair. So it's not a real mohair, it's acrylic, and it's called Mofo, and I got it from Spotlight in New Zealand. It was a couple of $3 a skein. It was cheap as chips, and it's just been lovely. It's super soft. I don't know how it'll last. Well, it's acrylic, so it should last. It should be strong. And I mixed it with a 100% merino wool. It's the same wool that I knit my raindrops out of. If you go back on other podcasts, you'll see another lovely round yoked jersey jumper that I knit called Raindrops. And so I had so much of that all left over, and I've just held the two together and made my ranunculus. All I have to do now is decide what length sleeve. I have no idea what length I can do. I've got heaps of wool. So what I thought I would do is knit short sleeves, try it on. If that's no good, 3/4, try it on. If that's no good, long. But I think long might be too big. But yeah, really happy with it. Quite looking forward to wearing that actually. So I've only got the sleeves to go. Really not far to go. So as I said, no finished objects, but close to. Those are my almost finished objects. I've got another whip and another almost whip that I'll show you. But last time we spoke, I wore a jersey of mine called my Gemini. It's a red square necked one, and I specifically wore it to show you how loose and baggy it was, and it was a fitting problem. I knitted too big a pattern. So and then I looked at another jersey that I'd made, a cardigan that I'd made called the Bentley, and that had got all loose and baggy on me as well. And I thought, right, it's time to do some adjustments. So out came the shirring elastic. God bless the shirring elastic. And I have put shirring elastic around my Gemini, and I just love wearing it now. I liked wearing it before, but I love wearing it now. It just fits beautifully. It's kept the nice square neck like it should, but it's nice and stretchy and sits nicely. And of course, if it, shirring elastic breaks, I can just thread a bit more around. It was easy peasy. Just thread it around. You can't even see it. So that's the Gemini. And the next one is the Bentley. My partner's taking the mickey and at me. Yes, I'm doing a podcast. And so what happened with the Bentley is my neckline just got too big, really. So I just thread. Again, you can't even see it. It's white, but I did 2 rows actually, because I think there's a lot of weight on this. It's a DK, and there's quite a lot of weight on it. So I did 2 rows of shirring elastic. Did I do one down the bottom? No, I just did the top. Or did I do the bottom? Yes, I did the bottom as well. So I did one at the top and one at the bottom, and it sits beautifully now. I can wear it. I do the button up and wear it, and it just sits with a lovely shaped neck. So, if you have a jersey that you've knit, or a cardigan or a top that you've knit, and you really like it, but there's just something not quite right, and it's the fit of something. Sometimes it's a simple fix. Sometimes it's just something you haven't even thought about, like shirring elastic around the neck. That took me 10 minutes, and it's now I will wear those jerseys so much more. So that was my mending. Before I get on to my new whips, the other thing that I was absolutely gutted, and I can't find it now. Oh, there it is. It's getting dark. My sight's not so great. I was gutted. Was a finished object a few weeks ago. It's another Libby Johnson one that I've really loved called Sesha, and it's done in a Mardi wool, which is a merino cashmere silk blend. It's just the softest, and I really enjoyed wearing it. It's just beautiful to wear. It's a nice throw on, go to work. I've got pictures on my Facebook page. I'll put the link below. I can't give you the pattern because it is one of the ones in Wardrobe Toolbox that Libby hasn't released yet. So she puts them into Wardrobe Toolbox and we get them first, and then after a while she releases them. But it's got pretty lace panel down the sleeve, 3/4 sleeve with a little really cute rib and then a little curl. And I had it on the other day, wore it to work, tickety boo, went home. It was a bit hot, or just to put my home clothes on, and took it off, and my bra hook was not hooked up properly, and I've put a hole in the back. So I have grabbed the stitch with a little stitch holder so that it doesn't keep running, and I will have to mend that. But I'm going to mend it. I was going to do it today when it was good light, but we had a lovely friend turn up, so we've spent the day yakking with a friend, so I haven't done the jobs I was going to do on my knitting with the good light. But gutted. So hopefully, I know that the modern thing now is to do what do they call it, visible mending. So you do like cute flowers, or put a patch over it, or put a button over it, but and not with this. This has to be invisibly mended. It's too special, too pretty, and it's right in the back. Oh, excuse me, blessed asthma. So yeah, I've got a mending job to do because I want to wear this. It's the perfect weather. It's sweater weather, as Americans say. It's really getting to become sweater weather. So I am going to mend that, and just wondering about the angle of this, but it is what it is. Makes me look very triangular, and I'm not. Shall I sit nicely? Anyway, look, you're going to get what you're going to get with me. That's all there is to it. It's just who I am. So that's my two almost finished objects, my mending and my restoring the neckline on those two jerseys. So I have been quite busy, really. Been doing quite a bit, but cast-on-itis. I wanted something that was super easy and super quick to take. Last weekend when I looked after the kids, I thought, no, I still have to do my knitting. I just can't not do my knitting. But I wanted something that didn't take any thinking, so I cast on a shawl. Now, weeks and weeks, or quite a few podcasts ago, I talked about a workshop that I'd been to. It was a dyeing wool workshop, and dyed my own wool. So I've decided to knit a shawl with the wool I dyed. Now, it's a Squishy McDo was the dye workshop. She took it. Forgotten her name now, Margaret maybe, but Squishy McDo. So if you googled that, you'd find it. It's New Zealand, and she taught us how to dye. First this is speckle, so not gonna, oh there it is. So it's really pretty. I've put purple, pink and red in there, and then we did a what do you call it? See, I should have done my homework, shouldn't I? We sort of blocked colours, and I did the same colours. I did purple, pink and red. The red's quite, it's not a fire engine red, so that's that one. And then I did a plain one, which is just the red. So those three there, and they're lovely and soft. It's 100% wool, but it's a super wash, so it's kind of quite smooth. I'm going to make a layered scarf. So I decided to cast on. So I looked for a pattern, and I found a really good one called Embrace. And Embrace is designed by Megan Gadsby. It's a black and white picture on it, so which is quite good because then you don't get any concept of colour, so you can put your own in. So it's a very simple garter stitch shawl. So I have started my Embrace, and I will link all of the stuff down below. So that is the first batch of wool, which is the speckles, and I've just added the what is that called? You probably know, the menopause. The next one along, and they blend really nicely together. And then so I will do probably another 3 inches of that one, and then I'll add the red, and it's just a basic shawl, and I'm really looking forward to wearing that. I think that'll be lovely, but simple. It's just one of those things you can pick up. You can be totally brain dead, which is what I needed, something that I didn't have to think about. Just garter stitch, and it's just knit right back at each end. So it's knit 3, knit right back, so increase, knit to end, knit right back to 4 stitches, knit right back, knit 3. So it's got a little panel of 3 stitches down the edge. Super duper easy. The pattern does say that the middle stripe isn't garter stitch, so it's kind of I think you call it a seed stitch, so it's kind of like a double rib, but you don't, the second row is just a knit row, so it kind of staggers it. I decided not to do that. I just decided to do garter stitch all the way around through, more because I wanted to see how the wool played with each other, because I wanted to dye more wool. So for me, I wanted to know what they played like. So if I changed the stitch style in the middle one, it wouldn't give me a true representation of how the 3 play together. So I decided to just do, didn't that sound good? I have no idea what I'm talking about, but yeah, sounded good. So that's what I've done, is just done garter stitch. I haven't done that middle one, but I suspect I'll make more of this pattern because it's super easy, super quick. It's done on, I think there are 5 needle. Really quite easy. Paid for pattern on Ravelry, and I will put the link down below. And I'm keeping that in one of my Japanese knot bags that I have made. And I just love these because you just go like that. It's all knotted up. Tickety boo. So that was my cast on. I cast that on just before last weekend so that I had it for the weekend. In between vomiting, I did the knitting. And I've done quite a bit of it on during the week. It's a great way, casting on another thing is a great way to procrastinate over the steeking. So, but I knew I couldn't do the steeking at night time. I knew I had to have good light, so it needed to be the weekend. In the mornings, we have lovely sun that comes into our lounge, so that my lounge has got really good light to be able to see to do those tricky jobs. Which brings me to my next whip. Well, almost whip. Should be whip, but wasn't. So excuse me, I'll just have a little drink of water. It's actually not water, it's fluffy water. My grandson calls it fluffy water. It's a soda stream. So it's pumped water from the soda stream. Braden always calls it fluffy water. He comes to Nana's and says, "Can I have a glass of fluffy water?" And I know what he means. He wants a soda stream water. It's just better than a little bit of plain. So, because I had got through the challenge of the steeking in my head, I hadn't actually done the work, I did that today, but in my head I'd got through thinking about how the heck to do it. So as soon as I started thinking about it as a sewing project, I got through that. I wanted something that was a little bit more challenging on the needles. So I've got my Embrace shawl, which is easy peasy, but I did need, and to finish off my Ranunculus, but they're both so easy, not thinking nice, easy evening knits. But I wanted something that was a little bit more challenging. So I thought I would cast on this weekend, a new one. Now I've got this wool from, excuse me, Māori. And it's the same wool as my Sesha. It's a lovely colour. It's almost like Milo. It's brown, but it's a milky brown. So it's almost reminds me of Milo colour. And when I did the dyeing workshop, she had some for sale, and I brought this just out of, because I thought, oh, play with some socks, but I love it with the brown. So I thought, well, how can I do something with these two that's quite cool? It's 4-ply, and that's 4-ply as well. Yeah, I am a bit worried about, I was a bit worried about the colour being so dark. And I thought, we'll see how we go. So I found this, I scrolled through so many, I went through Ravelry pages. I wanted something different because I've knit a lot of Libby Johnsons and the beautiful patterns, but I just wanted something different. So this is called The Birkin by Caitlin Hunter, and it is a top-down jersey, 4-ply, round with a round yoke, and the ferrule, you can't really even see it properly. The flowers, it's really pretty. It's leaves and flowers, really elegant. And I thought, right, that's me, 4-ply, pretty and elegant. I'll give that a go. Now, my problem is my site with this colour. Oh, with this colour. And you do 2.75 for the rib neckline. I can't see to cast the stitches on. I haven't, so I'm not sure what to do. I just, it's obviously a mistake using this wool. I may have to sell it because it's no. I think once I've got the casting on done, I can read my knitting a bit more and just go by feel, and I could knit it. So what I've decided is just try and get this cast on done and see how I go. And if it doesn't work, I'll have to rip it back. And I'm sure there'll be someone that will love this wool. I've got 5 skeins of it, of this beautiful, it is merino cashmere silk. It's stunning 4-ply wool. I don't think I'll have any trouble selling it to someone. Yeah, so I don't know if the Birkin's going to happen. But I won't be doing that this week because I've got work and I need light. So that will be, my attempt will be to cast this on, unless I get home earlier. If I get home at 3:30 and there's still good light, I might try and cast on. But I will attempt to cast on, and once I've got the cast on running, I'll see how it goes on whether I can manage the colour. But it may just be a reality of being blind that I can't knit that colour. Yeah, and it's a beautiful colour. And it's, nothing against the dye. It's my site, nothing to do with the wool. So we'll see how that goes. Try again. And one of my the main thing I always say about my site challenges, and there's no denying it's hard, but I always try and say, do what you can, not what you can't. But that means I have to try what I can first. So, I'll give that a try. And if I can't, then it has to go. That's most of my, I think that's all of my knitting. It is all of my knitting at the moment. I will put a picture in here showing the bedroom, because I have worked on the bedroom. It looks much better. I put a photo in last time of the bed, and I had been sorting this room, and there was a mound on the bed, like Mount Washmore. It was just covered. So I have sorted it. I have a little pile now, which is mending, which I will do next weekend. I was going to do today, but we had a lovely visit with a friend. So I've got a pile of mending, my wool's all away, and it's not nicely put away in I'd love it in cubicles like other people do behind me, but it's not. It's in big plastic clacks, and that's okay too. So that's all packed away, and my sewing machines are all out, which makes things so much easier. You can just come in, and when I did the steeking on my cardigan, I just came in and did it. It was, it's amazing when you've got the room set up, how much you don't have that mental health sort of, procrastination going on in your head. So that's my knitting. I have watched a lot of podcasts. Oh, that's one of the ones. I think they're called Arnie and Arnos. Arnie and Arnos. It's a podcast with a gay couple, two guys, and they're just really humorous, and I love watching them. And they were steeking, and one of them had knitted a Fair cardigan, and he was going to steek, and he steeked the sleeves and the neck and down the front, and he was so relaxed, and he had these great big huge scissors, and he was and he just whipped it up the sewing machine, zigzagged and whipped it with his, and I thought, come on, Donna, you can do this. So they were kind of quite motivating for me too, just seeing, don't take it as so much of a threat. Not sure if I'll do another steak again. We'll see how that goes when it's finished. She says that now. You should never say never, eh? Just check my notes and make sure I haven't missed anything. Embrace. I will put. I put fairly simple notes down the bottom. Usually it is more just links about the product or the pattern I'm doing. I don't do transcripts of what I've talked about or anything like that. You're more than welcome to contact me on blindedknitting@gmail.com or through Facebook or through Instagram. Instagram's probably the best one for me. Or through YouTube. More than welcome to contact me. I can answer questions for you there and then. I think I've pretty much covered everything. Yeah, I wanted to show you my yams. I've never grown yams before. I don't know if you have, but there's my yams. Look at them. You'd never know that was it is not. I bought one, I can promise you. I got that out of the garden this morning. And I didn't know that they came in pink and white. So, you can have two colours. Of course, they're homegrown, so you're going to get odd shapes. You're not going to get all perfect, but that one's pretty perfect. But yeah, first time I've ever grown yams. A friend of mine gave me some yams. Oh dear, that one needs trimming back a bit, doesn't it? Eat your ugly vegetables, they say. Well, there's one there. I'll cut that one off. But a friend of mine gave them to me, and so I don't know if I'll grow them again because they took forever. I kept saying it's like the coming of something, it just took forever. I think I planted these. What month are we in now? We're in June. I think I planted them just after Christmas. So 5 months, 6 months. And I've had a couple of meals out of them. So I've ate a couple of meals, and I'm a big veggie eater. I love vegetables, so good couple of handfuls. And this is what I got, the whole lot. You can see why people go to the supermarket and buy them in the supermarket, but no travel miles, completely organic, grown with your own hands. I know they will taste good. They will taste like real vegetables, not plastic. So, pretty chuffed with those. My veggie garden's doing really well. Of course, it's coming into winter here, and we're in New Zealand, and it is, I didn't say the date at the beginning, did I? It is the 6th of June today, Queen's birthday here, so that's why it was a long weekend. I hope you've all been watching the celebrations. I certainly did last night and the night before with my knitting. Sat down and watched the Jubilee, which was lovely because I'm a bit of a royalist and I love that sort of thing. So the weather is still beautiful. You'd never know it was it's not the middle, it's almost the middle of winter. So in New Zealand, the middle of winter is the 21st of June. So that's the shortest day. That's when we start getting our bad weather, usually after the 21st of June. So it's actually been beautiful. Today's been lovely. This morning I was up early. I weeded the garden. I've had a really poor failure with my beans. I don't know what went wrong there, but my beans have not done well. So I've ripped all those out, kind of wintering down some beds now because of, apart from cabbage and collies and silver beet, and I've planted Brussels sprouts because we eat a lot of Brussels sprouts. I'll just carry on with keeping those sorts of things going, and ticking along with that. But I got up early this morning and prepared to steak that jersey, and got out my veggie garden, did the eggs. I'll put up here, I'll put a photo, or here, or here, or here. I'll put it somewhere on here. I took a photo of the produce on a bit of rhubarb. I had a pretty spindly looking rhubarb, but my brother gave me some apples off his tree. So I will stew those and just throw the rhubarb in it as well. So it's quite nice to still get some winter produce, even though it is getting colder and things aren't as readily available in the veggie garden. Yeah, so that's been my week. That's been my month of knitting. I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for listening to me blah, 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 blah on. I have a present here for my son. I've just got a new grandchild, a brand new baby grandchild, Eli. My son and daughter over in Australia, daughter-in-law, have a 3-year-old Evelyn, and they've just had a new baby boy called Eli. And I have shown you in past the little red band. I won't show you because it's all boxed up, but red band. I'm sending red band gumboots over. I know it's a weird gift, but I just wanted them to have a bit of Kiwiana, a bit of New Zealand. So I had a friend knit me some new booties, just look like red band gumboots. If you don't live in New Zealand, red band gumboots are just black gumboots, and they've got a red band at the top and a red band at the bottom. They're pretty much what all of us farmers and Kiwis use. They're a big brand, and you're good quality gumboot. Everybody wears red bands. And there's a guy, Fred Dagg, in the 70s that sang a song, if it weren't for your gumboots. So if you weren't for your gumboots, where would you be? You'd be in your hospital or in the infirmary. It's a funny song. You could Google it, have a look. I've written on the box that I've packed up for Troy, do not open this until you have listened to the song. And I've got the newborn red bands, a pair of red bands for gumboots for the 3-year-old, and my son has a pair of jandals, because it's Australia, they just don't need gumboots really, and the Swan Dries, which is another New Zealand thing we all wear, Swan Dry brand jandals, although you can get red band jandals. I've just had trouble getting them. And my daughter-in-law, I hope you're not watching this, because if you haven't got the parcel yet, you'll know what's in it. A beautiful pair of little power jandals. So she's a very elegant young woman. Earrings. I've just been corrected by my partner. Thank you, dear. Earrings. A little pair of earrings, power earrings that look like jandals. She's an elegant young woman, and I think that's a little bit nicer for someone who's just had a puppy. I'm sure she'll like something that's kind of a bit special. So I'll post that off tomorrow. What does my week look like ahead? Yeah, it's just going to be a week. I think the weather's going to start pooing itself now, which is quite nice because, as they like to say, it's sweater weather, and we can start wearing our woolens and not feeling guilty because the night closes in. I think with my site, here I am going on and on. So with my site challenges, I get, once it's dark, I can't do anything outside. It's just absolutely black. It's just like stepping into a black hole. So I'm pretty much stuck inside, or with light, with lighting. So my days become quite drawn in, and I don't mind being a knitter. I just can't go out. So yeah, and if I do, it's hard work. Anyway, it's been fun talking to you. Yeah, I hope your knitting's going well. And I do love doing this, so I hope you do love listening. I haven't brought anything because I've got a very special birthday coming up in September, and also we are talking about going to the possibility of going to, it's called Can, K-A-N, which is Knit August Nights, which Skeins does up in Napier, and it's a weekend knitting retreat. So there's a lot of exciting things coming up. So I'm not spending a lot of money at the moment. I'm just keeping my purchases to using my stash. Hope your knitting goes well. Have a great month. Catch you next time. Bye.